It's said that the greatest innovations come during the most difficult times. The early 1970s, the time when the AP Royal Oak came into existence, was certainly a difficult time for Swiss watchmakers. But from this era of horological crisis came one of the greatest timepieces to ever exist. This is the story of the AP Royal Oak. The year was 1969, exactly 1 week before the new year. Japanese watchmaker Seiko just revealed something so groundbreaking that it would nearly destroy the entire Swiss watch industry. It was a new type of watch called the Astron. It ran on a movement called quartz. It was cheap, easy to mass produce, and more accurate than any Swiss movement in existence. This was officially the start of what's known today as the quartz crisis. Watchmakers almost went out of business because of this. Just 2 years into production in 1972, watchmakers knew they had to adapt or die. AP, who had a rich history of horological advancements, said screw it. They were going to go all out. They totally disregarded this new quartz movement and they were going to completely shake things up. They decided to go the complete opposite direction, create arguably one of the most desirable timepieces to ever exist, demonstrating a perfect union of quality, engineering, and beauty, all for a price that would certainly distinguish it amongst any cheap alternatives. With the help of designer Gerald Genta, AP introduced this piece of de resistance of horology, the Royal Oak, the world's first high-end luxury sports watch. And no, it did not have a quartz movement. Instead, it used nothing but the legendary caliber 2121 that AP successfully used for years, all to show the world that the acclaimed Swiss watchmaker will never be outdone. But even though it relied on a time-honored movement to power the watch, what met the eye was far from traditional. The fact is, what inspired the aesthetic of this watch was a symbol of strength, courage, honor, and the sea. The name Royal Oak was taken from a series of 8 royal vessels for the British Navy. Its form followed the nautical motif. Instead of following the circular shape that contemporary timepieces used at the time, the Royal Oak had a brawny octagonal bezel inspired by the appearance of a deep-sea diver's helmet, including octagonal-shaped screws at each point of the face. Not surprisingly, all of these unusual design touches weren't met with immediate acceptance, but what's truly revolutionary rarely is. In time, the Royal Oak became a truly legendary timepiece, one that both saved AP and the Swiss watch world because it proved that you could still use a Swiss automatic movement instead of a quartz movement. This is the first Royal Oak, reference 5402 ST, and referred to as the A series. It was released in a series of about 1,000 pieces, which quickly sold out, so AP released another 1,000 pieces and continued labeling it the B, C, and D series. The watch stood out among other similar offerings because it was 39 mil and only 7 mils thick. 39 millimeters at the time was actually rather large, which is why it was nicknamed the Jumbo. It included only a date window when it debuted, but later on it became more complex. Its 154 component size 34 bracelet was so complicated that it even baffled the experts who couldn't construct it. Later they actually had to go through another firm to make the bracelet. Powering the reference 5402 ST was a movement so legendary that it speaks volumes about the company, and that was the caliber 2121. Complete with a modified date wheel, this movement truly set the watchmaker apart. It focused on substance over style, as demonstrated by hiding a beautifully finished movement under a solid caseback, so you couldn't even see it. It was originally based on the groundbreaking joint project from a 1967 AP and the Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin funded JLC to produce the ultra-thin automatic Cal 920 movement, which then changed forms and was adopted by others. It powered the Patek Philippe Nautilus and Vacheron's 222, which was the caliber 1120, at just 3 mils thick. Very, very thin. It featured a spectacular anti-shock system, and it beat at almost 20,000 beats per hour, which is perfect for a active lifestyle. The gauntlet had been thrown with this timekeeping marvel. It possessed everything a world-class watch should have: elegance, style, function, precision, timekeeping abilities, all of the above. And the 5402 ST was only the beginning. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. It really helps the channel. Until next time, peace.